And welcome back, everyone, to the Brain Soul Success Show. While you're in for a real treat, I am with my good friend Chris Nielson today. He is awesome. He's on a mission to help heart-centered, purpose-fueled speakers and entrepreneurs and coaches really unlock their voice, amplify their impact, and speak with confidence. So he is an amazing speaking coach. He's blending peak performance psychology, sports mindset training, and the magic of improv. Wait till you see some of this, you guys. It's awesome. He transforms the way people communicate and he turns stage fright into stage fun, right? And nervousness into that magnetic presence. You do this so beautifully. I'm just super excited to dive in today. And he founded the Speaker Skills Plus and Communication Skills Plus. So that's his company, and he does it in a gamified kind of fun way so that you really can help, ditch that self-doubt, own your message, and really inspire action. Because we know that speaking is one of the best ways to get your message out there, right? And
Absolutely.
and some people are having that, they have that stage fright still. They're not really there yet. And you're so good at taking them to those places where they can really do that. But you've had such great background here too. You worked at global powerhouses like Microsoft and Intuit, the Federal Reserve Bank, and Sony. But I know that your passion really is this, the heart-centered entrepreneurs, the elevating change makers, the coaches, the speakers really stand up, stand out, and speak from their heart. So whether you're leading a movement, growing your own business, or stepping onto that TEDx stage, Chris can help you. He's a master storyteller, and we're going to learn more about him right now. So Chris, I am so excited to have you with us today. When I first met you a few weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, we got to have you on the podcast. This is awesome." Yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah. So thanks so much for being here today. So I guess the first question is, how do you even get started in this? How did you get started in the whole speaking world?
I was speaking for my own business, and really it was a difficult road for me. I was a fearful speaker. Speaking wasn't fun. I tell people the most fun part of speaking used to be when I got to sit down afterwards and the focus was not on me anymore. And I go, I can finally breathe. And then it could be bad. If I did bad, then I would be beating myself up in here. But if I was okay, I go, okay, now I can finally relax. And when's the next time I have to do this? Now I get to do it and I enjoy it. And there were numerous things that took me from a fearful speaker to one that has a ton of fun. And lots of things I had to let go of to get to that place.
And we want to hear about those.
All right. Well,
You
I
know,
can
you,
give you the kind of
yeah.
the painful story
Uh,
I was programmed by a TV commercial as a kid, never let them see you sweat. And I sweat a lot. And in basketball, people would go, I don't want to guard Chris. He sweats a lot. And so I had that stigma in me. And in eighth grade, I was to give a speech. And I
mhm.
was shaking before, and I stood up and I couldn't stop my hands from shaking. And it was like a monsoon rain was released from the top of my head, and my
Mhm.
face years. It would haunt me on and on and on. Every time I'd get up to speak, it'd be like they're going to see the real defective you. And I did crazy things so you wouldn't see me sweat. I buy two shirts exactly the same. I bought women's panty liners. I put them in my armpits and they worked. I practiced with them first. They worked great in practice. I walked in that speech as confident as I've ever been. I had my panty liners on. I was good to go. And I was sweating a little bit, but I thought no big deal until I looked down and there was a panty liner island in a lake of sweat. Perfect outline, both arms. And so I've done a lot of crazy things so you would try to hide the real defective me. And since then, I've done speech, let them see you sweat. And how you find the fun really is in that present moment. If you can let go of those past programs, the future projections of things going wrong, if you can
Mhm.
find that present moment, that's where the joy exists.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you had to do that. You found the present moment, to turn yourself into somebody who had such, so stage fright and to be able to be a good speaker. So how did you finally like let go of those programs? What worked for you?
It was a process, and a lot of it happened in improv comedy, and that's why I bring a lot of improv comedy in terms of what I do in terms of training other speakers and
Mhm.
having and training organizations to boost great culture. I bring the principles of improv change me as a human being. I went from a
Mm,
no but kind of guy, no but I got a better idea. I didn't realize how incredibly disconnecting that was to a yes and. Yes and is the main
mm,
principle of improv, to affirm and add to what people bring to you. And improv isn't a cutting comedy. It's an addition comedy. It's how can I make you look great, Luis? How can I
mhm.
set you up to succeed? How can I do that? And that is energy is contagious. And then
Yes.
one day in improv, our improv teacher, Jackie Lowell, who was about 5 foot tall and shrinking, who played improv way back in the day with Whoopi Goldberg, asked us, why are you not getting up to participate? And I was saying, I'm thinking in my head, I got nothing funny. I don't want to look foolish. And then she shared what she said was a secret to success in improv in life. And when she shared it, I was going, no, I don't want that to be the secret. I'm not interested in that. And she said, dare to suck. And I said, no, I want to be
Dude.
good. I don't want to suck. And
Uh,
what I get right now is that suck is embedded in success. You got to be
oh,
willing to fail to succeed. And now I spell succeed differently, SUCK dash CEED. So succeed. Be willing to fail so you can eventually be great. And
mhm.
my idol, Michael Jordan, I failed over and over again is why I succeed. This mindset, a great book that I got at the time was Mindset by Carol Dweck that
Uh-huh.
I loved it. And it got me thinking, oh, I don't want to be the fixed mindset where wherever I am is fixed in stone. Growth mindset is whatever you do, you can improve. And
Mhm.
failure with the fixed mindset, you are the failure. Failure with a growth mindset, it's just feedback on how to get better. So I chose the feedback. And eventually those
Mhm.
things started to creep in, and I found that present moment over and over again.
Mhm.
And the present moment is very contagious.
Yes, it is. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a journey. We all have a journey to get to where we got, and often we have to sort of, have that failure, like you said. You have to be willing to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember years ago we actually did skits on failure at a conference. It was a mastermind conference, and we had to get together in little small groups and then come up with when we failed because we wanted to celebrate the failure because that's how we grow. That's how we learn, right? Yeah.
That's wonderful. What a
Yeah.
gift to go to a conference like that do that. When I'm working with companies, one of my favorite rituals they have is called, they use the more graphic term, but effed up Fridays, meaning
Okay.
the leaders actually share their failures actively, and it's multiple purpose. One, there's
Mhm.
lessons we learn from failures. Two, that makes them more human. Three, that it connects them to each other, and we
Mhm.
we get to learn from it. And also teaches them not to cover up their own failures. So they have fun with it, they play with it, and it makes us great to learn from those different things.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna like lead with that, like that frame right there, just because it's fun. Let's do a little round robin, you and I, and just kind of play with this. So name three failures you learned from.
I've learned from every single failure, but I learned just recently. I'm a crazy pickleball addict and
Okay.
played in nationals at the highest level, and I failed badly. And part of it was injuries that didn't allow me to play, but part of it was preparation and mindset that I can still work with in that game.
Oh, very good. So you're working on your mindset there.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it motivates me to get better and better. It didn't motivate me to quit, it motivated me to get better. I mean, I didn't show up at my best in that particular situation.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And that's always going to happen if we have the growth mindset,
yeah.
right? If we have that growth mindset. Hey, on my journey, this is my second business. So I owned Albuquerque Natural Health Center. And I mean, I started out in my house, rented an office, told the guy who was going to rent me, the landlord, rent the space. He goes, "You can't afford this." And I said, "Watch me." And so I did. And I did make it, I did make it work. But I've also made a lot of mistakes there. So one of the failures I made was not paying myself first.
Yeah,
Paid my, my rent, my electric, my front desk person because I wanted to have a business so bad because I was so good at what I did.
yeah,
So I knew I would shine, but I had to sort of like learn some lessons. Was that a failure? I learned from it. It moved on, right? You
right.
know? And then when I wanted to sell Albuquerque Natural Health Center and move into Brain Soul Success, I didn't do it soon enough. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, then I own the space. So then I actually rented a space first, then I owned an office space. So I bought the office space, and now no one wants to cut. We're on Zoom, we can't go to the office space. So now I'm paying all those fees for everything, for the condo space and the office, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to sell the business. Well, if I had done it before COVID, I could have sold the whole business.
Yeah.
But instead, I waited too long. So, did I learn from that? Absolutely. Does it matter now? No. But these are mistakes we make. And if we share them, other people can learn from them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my
Yeah.
costliest financial mistakes is I bought 3 houses in Idaho without even looking at them and trusting the two people that told me they were a great deal that they were really a great deal. And also
Oh,
the timing of those purchases were poor on my part as well. So they ended
yeah.
up costing me lots of money. They were not a, they didn't bring me back money. Money just flowed out and out and out.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. How did you recoup that? How did you finally recoup that?
I didn't recoup the money that, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars eventually went out the door because it was a combination of just bad choice
Hmm.
and couldn't rent for what they promised and what my payments were.
Hmm.
And that was a mistake. I listened to what they said. All I would have had to do is call one unbiased realtor in that town, and I would have learned that, hey, they're saying you're getting a little more than you're really going to get. And then, two, I should have let him go sooner instead of, you know, keep feeding them along the way. I fed them
Hmm.
basically my entire bank account and savings for a long time, but I should
Hmm.
have cut the losses much sooner. If I would have
Much
done that, I
sooner.
could have moved on sooner.
All right. Well, that's a lesson we both just had right there, right? Let go sooner.
Yeah. It meant a
Yeah.
lot of it. It's tough to let go. It's like, and you see the
Hmm.
gamblers too. They've just lost 10 of whatever, 10,000, $10, 10 whatever. They go, you know what? Let's follow with another bet to try to get it back
So
versus
true. Yes.
cutting it off and moving on to another thing. And
Exactly. Wow, exactly. So I hope you guys listening are learning from this, let go sooner for whatever it is in your life. Now we want to find out about how you gamify communication training. I mean, that is just brilliant. So share with us how you do this.
well, that improv background comes into to it. But one
Okay.
day I was just struggling with working on my communication skills. I always want to be a better and better speaker. It's my passion in life to become
Mhm.
better and help, heart-centered, mission-driven human beings become better speakers and communicators as well. So their mission positively impacts this world. That's
Mhm.
my thing. And I was working on it, and all of a sudden bowls of cereal and remote controls would end up in my hand all the time. And I go, why am I procrastinating like this? And I throw those away. And I thought to myself one day, just lying, staring at the ceiling, I go, what don't I procrastinate in? And I go, improv and basketball at the time. Now it's
What?
pickleball as well. But
Okay.
and I guess the balloons love that as well. So when I when I don't procrastinate, it's easy. I'm motivated to do those things. I go to pickleball now. I go like a little kid, excited to go to an event. How do I create that in speaking? And how do I do it around friends? Because I wanted to create what I
Mm.
call an environment of inevitable success. And then I really
Nice.
added one more word to that, a playful environment of inevitable success.
Love that.
So one, I don't like to commute, so I created on Zoom pre-pandemic. So on Zoom, I invited friends from all over the world. They came and joined me, and we played different communication games, like creating mysteries. He walked into the room and something was off. He looked where his TV normally was, and nothing was there. And all of a sudden, he got afraid. If you're setting scenes, you're creating mysteries and metaphors. You're using
Hmm.
story structure to have fun and play. You're using
Hmm.
all these different gamified things to become great at the storytelling, building blocks of storytelling. And
Hmm.
we, as human beings, we love stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Years ago, I learned this. Um, Facts tell, stories sell.
What was that
Oh,
again?
yeah, we stopped there for a second. Um, Facts tell, stories sell.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
And
always the story, isn't it?
right. And if you're an entrepreneur, become a story seller and storyteller. If you want to make a point as a coach or a
Mhm.
speaker, great stories of what people share to make a point.
Yes. Well, you know what? That goes back to the brain, so this is the Brain Soul Success Show. And so people will remember the story. And I'm here in New Mexico, you're in Arizona. There's a lot of storytelling in the Native American, peoples here, so they grew up on storytelling. And so stories is how we remember something. It's not the fact, it's not that 33% of the people on the planet have anxiety. It's the story behind that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the stories like with your brain health too. It's the stories we tell ourselves in here that are some of the
Mm.
most important stories that we tell.
Absolutely. And then that's another really good, question conversation is, managing our self-talk is how you can become confident as a speaker and be in present time.
Yeah.
So what are some tips or tricks that you have for that? How can you manage your self-talk, what we're telling ourselves in here?
A friend of mine, and I don't think it's from her originally, but Deja Urbanovich had shared one time when I was talking about nervousness. She said
Hmm.
excitement and nervousness are basically physiologically the same. Now, if you label it
Hmm.
nervous or anxiety, you're taking down that negative spiral. If you label it excitement, that's an upward spiral. So why not just change the label of it?
Hmm.
One of the other big things is, so much of my younger life was focused on what can I get? What about me? How am I showing up? Instead, it's go, how do I best serve this audience? And the cool thing is, if you're
Hmm.
serving an audience, they don't expect you to be perfect, but if they can feel your heart, that you care about them, if you're
Yes.
going with that, then you take the focus off you and go, how can I serve you all in the best way possible?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Do you think some people have that innately, or
Yeah,
you
I
have to
think
practice it?
I would guess some people have it. Like I didn't have my mother, so my mother is the sunshine eyes. I mean, she was always looking to help other human beings, and she's really the reason I'm here for multiple ways. Uh, and but one of the big ones was at my 20-year high school reunion. People started to come up to me after they overheard one person say, your mom saved my life.
Oh,
And
cool.
and then other people came up and said, Your mom's the reason I got off drugs and alcohol. Your mom's the reason I graduated from high school because of her. Your mom's the reason I became a teacher. Your mom's the reason I became a high school counselor just like her. And uh, and hearing that was so powerful for me. And I thought, I want to make a difference like that. No, I just want to add that night, I called up my mom. I said,
Hmm.
Mom, you got to come to my reunion. And she said, No, that's your reunion, Chris. And I said, You've made a way bigger difference on my class than I did. There's people that would love to thank you. And she came.
I'm starting to
They got,
cry.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
they got to tell her how wonderful and meaningful she was and is in their
Mhm.
life. Yeah. So that was a
Oh,
moving
well,
moment for me
that's
too.
so beautiful. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. That's really, really beautiful. Yeah, we never know who we're going to touch, right?
You never know.
It's
And,
that
and
random act of kindness every single day.
yeah, and it's such a kind word. And in this Nick
Hmm.
Vujicic, you might know this motivational speaker. I remember a clip he did that I thought was so powerful. He was born without, hands and like just flippers basically.
Oh, I
It,
saw
it, and
that.
he's just amazing motivational speaker. And he talked one day where he's just having this horrible day, walking home from or getting home from school. I don't know how he got home from school, but this one girl was approaching him like she wanted to say something. He's thinking to himself, if she says something negative, I don't know if I can take it. I mean, he was like just hanging on by his fingertips. And she said something positive, and
Mhm.
it changed his whole mood and light. And he goes, it was like I could survive that day because of her. So our kindness does matter. What we say to other people
Mhm.
matters so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then coming from that heart-centered place, you can call it what you want, present time, heart-centered place, being your authentic self. I find that too. I get people back to being 100% their soul truth. And
Ooh.
so all of the entrepreneurs and the coaches out there who are struggling in their business, if they don't have that and yet they want to make bigger impact, make more money, whatever their goals are, they could take all the business courses in the world. It's not going to get them there.
Oh my gosh, you were
It's not until they do your work, right? What you're doing and helping him be in present time, and my work clearing the traumas and the spaces of the brain and the past traumas and patterns that are keeping you stuck, even ancestral patterns, to get you back to being present and honoring your truth.
Your work is so crucial. If, I mean, and one of the best to become a great speaker, the work you're doing, Luis, is so incredibly crucial because that's the work kind of I did. It was how can I get
Hmm.
out of my own way and be on
Hmm.
stage? And if you can help them let go of these traumas and be present to themselves and be their authentic self, we crave the honesty. We crave people that are being
Yes.
real. It motivates us ourselves. So you are doing incredible work to get people to share their voice in a way which can,
Exactly. And that's where I'm seeing a synergy here. So thank
yeah.
you for that. And I'm feeling the synergy here because I know that if we do that first and then you grab them and really teach them to be great speakers and get on stage, they're going to make huge impact in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I see
Hmm.
the absolutely synergy for it because if you can let go, it's the all these crazy things. I talk about one of the things a plus is it takes people from that fear to fun. And if you're
Uh-huh.
doing with the deep work with them and really can let that go of that fear so they can show up. They can even open the door because sometimes a door to that opportunity feels too scary to open because the unknown outside your comfort zone is on the other side of that door.
Absolutely. And I always talk about here's faith and here's fear.
Hmm.
So I'm showing a pen, and the top of the pen, I'm going, up and down from the ceiling to the floor. If you're listening on the podcast, the top of the pen is faith and the bottom is fear, and you can't be halfway. You can't be halfway between faith and fear. You're either in faith or fear. You're saying fun or fear. Love that. So
Well,
let's put two up there, faith and fun.
and
Um,
well, so that's another tip I'll give people is this. One of the things I learned when I am playful, I
mhm,
am present. So if you can just get playful. Now, the problem with it with critical people like myself in the past, I'd get playful and then I'd start to get thinking about how am I coming across or whatever. You start thinking about yourself. But if you are in the playful present moment,
mhm.
fear disappears.
So true. Years ago, I did this. This was hysterical, actually. I was literally playing with tuning forks in my office. Now, I had
Mm.
somebody hooked up to biofeedback. So I had straps around their head and their, wrists and their ankles. And we're doing neurobiofeedback. And they had a broken toe. And I remember I had these tuning forks, which are these forks that make sound. So think of it as sound healing. And I tapped the throat chakra one and I was like, I'm supposed to put this on her toe. And I was playing, we were playing in the field, in the energy field. And I put this tuning fork on her toe and she calls me the next day. She goes, it's not broken anymore. You fixed my toe. And I'm like, what did I do? I don't remember what I did. Because we were playing in the energy field.
Yeah, that's amazing results there. And I love the
Yeah.
vibrate. I don't know why. I've always loved the vibration of a tuning fork. That just said vibration.
Yeah, because everything is frequency, everything is sound, everything is frequency, everything vibrates at a frequency. For some reason, that was the right frequency. I don't
Mhm.
know. Uh, but that's what I mean by, playfulness. That's what you mean by playing when you're playing in the field. Hey, give us an example. I know you gave an example on the networking call we were on of how you really have, created a game out of speaking. You gave some cool examples. Do you remember what those were?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites, actually, so the game that got me hooked on improv. I didn't even know of improv at the time. I was studying speaking with my friend Clinton Swain, who has some amazing programs out there. And he plays this game. He calls it the change game. And I call it new choice and some other improv companies call it new choice. So I like new choice more. The empowering is your choice. What new choice can you make in that moment? And so I use it as a two-person game. And sometimes I have some from the audience say it, but I'll play both roles in this. One person just says new choice, and online you raise your hand and say new choice, and the other person just shares a story. And your story might be, and I'd encourage you to use nursery rhymes and things like that. Jack and Jill went up the hill. New choice. Jack and Jill went to the mall. New choice. Jack and Jill got in their mom and dad's car and drove to the woods. And they created a huge bonfire. New choice. They created a tiny controlled fire because it was fire danger season that day. And they sent up smoke signals with a blanket. New choice. They doused it with water and sent steam up into the air. And a big bad wolf snuck onto them And it wasn't a new choice. It was a tiny, scrawny wolf that bit Jill by the on the butt, and she screamed, running off into the woods. And Jack chased her. New choice. Jack let him go because he just was chill.
That's too, you know what I like about that? Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Um, because it's fast, people don't have time to second guess it, judge it, think about it. They're in the moment, they're in the present time, they're just playing, right?
When they get there now, so when I facilitate the game, I say this: the first time I played it, I struggled.
Mhm.
And that's actually a gift to have that struggle. So second time there was about 10 seconds of flow. And I go, ooh, what was that? I
Uh,
want more of that. The third time it was like we played for about a minute and a half each. And the minute and a half was all flow. And I go, whoa, I want more of that. And that's when my buddy Mark said to me, Chris, do you know that's an improv game? And I said, what's improv? And he goes, you should meet my friend Jackie Lowell, who teaches improv. And then I went to Jackie's class and got first class. I almost quit. That's another story. Um, but then I got hooked on it. Just this energy, this uplifting energy that's in there. You find the present moment more and more. And I love helping speakers find that present moment and play where
mhm.
they can really share a message that people are excited to hear.
I have to have an audience. I have a question for you on speaking then.
Yeah.
That relates to my own speaking. I'm not good at planning a speech. Like
I'm
if
not,
I was going to create a TED Talk today, I can do it. I've been speaking for years. I've been a teacher for years, but I am much better in the moment coming up with an anecdotal story about something that's going to prove a point because I know it's going to help their brain remember it better. And it just flows. I'm better with just flowing. I have a real hard time creating. So can you help me with that? What's my issue?
I would help you do more of what you're already doing.
Okay. Okay.
So for me, I've,
Um,
I've actually coached some TEDx speakers, and it's not my forte to have memorized speeches. In fact, I say if
yeah.
you want to really scare yourself, have a word for word speech that you memorize, because as soon as you miss one word, your brain goes, oh, something's wrong. And
Hmm.
it triggers that fear response in some people, unless you actively work to get out of that. And I say memorize a speech, but then let it go and be present or have a teleprompter or whatever to deliver that, certainly. But what you're doing is, I believe, way more powerful. And what I tell people to do that we work on as well, build your story bank up,
Uh-huh.
of little stories like you have that have these anecdotal stories that you can grab. Oh, I'll grab that one from my story bank or story library and plug and play right into this spot where it fits perfectly to make this point that I want to make.
Uh-huh.
Or find a metaphor or analogy that fits right there. When you're present, I think you are more powerful in delivering something. Now,
Hmm.
I can also ramble and take a tangent that some people might not like. So I usually have an outline and
Hmm.
often comes back to that outline. And I know the main points I want to make typically, but I do not like the here's my next line type talk. I'm more the improv in a way.
Yeah. And I can see where that's more powerful again, and I can feel my own resistance with creating like a written thing, do.
I
I
would
can
just
do.
have you do an outline
Yeah. Yeah.
and even do write down, here's my story bank stories already. So you know your stories. If you have, oh, I'm going to share these 5 stories in this talk, and here's the main point I'm going to make after each story.
Yeah, no, that's really, really great. That's really good advice for other, people, aspiring speakers here too, who want to learn, really learn to do this and really practice it. Absolutely. Let's turn it a little bit more personal now. So how do you take care of your brain and yourself? Like, how do you take care of that?
I think, pickleball is not only enjoyable for me, but I think it's one of the best things you can do for your brain. It's like chess with a paddle and other human beings, so it's social as well. I have more friends. I'm not naturally outgoing. I'm probably more naturally introverted. I've made more friends and contacts from pickleball than almost anything in the last few years. It was basketball before that and other things. And physically active, get the blood flowing through your being.
Hmm.
Plus, also, I've been blessed. I've always had a pretty positive attitude, but also feeding that positive attitude. You know,
Hmm.
the my
Yeah, all
mom,
good
sunshine
tips.
eyes. my dad critical eyes. I could be in my dad's critical eyes, and now I let more and more of the criticalness go. Not that he wasn't playful. One of his gifts was he was incredibly playful.
Mm-hmm.
He was deeply loving. And then the other thing I really work on is, I call it compass questions. And one of my compass questions is, am I coming from fear or love? And to be more loving, and one of my favorite quotes around that is from Rumi. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find the barriers you built against it. And
Ah.
I'm constantly working on that. I believe if I can remove the rest of the barriers that stand in the way from me fully loving other human beings, because I believe love flows in you infinitely. You do not have to dole it out in if-then spoonfuls. You can throw that spoon away and you can put them in the splash zones, put buckets of love out into the world. And people will feel that because we reflect each other as human beings. If you are loving and present with your audience is inspired to be loving and present with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is Love Week. Oh, I love this week. I do. I do. It's just, it gets me like high or something. I don't know. It's Valentine's week when we're recording this.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening, yeah, it's really, really cool. That is so awesome. Well, how can people get a hold of you? And get some of your training, this game, the way you put game to all of this speaking if they aspire to be good speakers.
Well, we'll give you a link, hopefully, Luis, and so you can share it with your audience as well, maybe in the description. But
Okay.
speakerskillsplus.com, speaker skills plus, those words all together.com. You can find us in what we do. I love helping people that want to make a difference in the world. It is a passion of mine. I want to send as many positive ripples as I can through the world. So I want to help people that also want to send positive ripples through the world. So if you got a big heart, you got a message you want to share, reach
Mhm.
out, come play with us. And the first time can be a little daunting, but no, we've built a safety net for you. We've made a safe
Mhm.
place. You can come get on the speaking trapeze and just hang there for a while if you need to. Look down, watch other people swing, or you can really go for it if you want. We make it safe and playful. Jump in if you do that, you are guaranteed to grow your skills. You're in the speaking
Mhm.
gym, you're doing some of the reps, your skills are going to get better, you're going to grow your confidence, your charisma. All that stuff will come easier to you because all those are skills you can develop.
That's great. That is so awesome. Oh my gosh, that is really awesome. I love the work that you're doing in the world. You're helping so many people really, get their voice and find their passion with speaking there. So important on our planet right now, to really make that impact. Love that. Hey, one final question here. Give us a brain tip. What's one of your brain tips besides the pickleball and oxygenating the body, exercise and all that? What's another brain tip you can leave our audience with?
Right, oxygenating is a good one. Now I'll give it a combined one there. It was with the spiritual side, and the other is breathe like the fearless, which is that deep, full breath. And if you do that, your body might say, "Hey, there's nothing to fear in this moment." But the other brain tip is eat great food and be in nature. Great food and be in nature. And notice if you want to
Mhm.
change your diet, is notice what food does to you. But I love chocolate cookies. I'm like the Cookie Monster with chocolate chip cookies. Um, I cannot resist them. They are there. They will call me if they're present. And yet I notice this when I eat them. I go up and then I have a crash and I don't feel as clear and I don't feel as, vibrant in the world. And feeling vibrant has an addiction to it as well. Uh,
Mhm.
feeling that vibrancy. So eat great food, get out in nature,
Nice.
awe-inspired.
Nice. Love that. Such great tips. Wow, this has just been awesome. You have totally revolutionized, communication skills and speaking, and we want to thank you for being with us today. So thank you again, Chris. I just love us. We could talk for like another 5 hours, you and I.
Easy.
Can you feel that? I can feel that. Like it's just really cool. We'll have to have you like back on. So thank you again for being with us. And remember, everyone, follow your heart, but take your brain with you.
What great advice.